Facebook. What's the other one?
Up a surfboard, heads out from the seashore, from the world where she lives. She's got no fears or worries at all right there, just the smell of salt water that's in the air, and the sunrise. She's walking on water. She's walking on water. Imagine waking up not knowing if today's your last one. Tell me what would you say if you had some? Somebody tell you that you're young but you're dying, which is weird cause you feel so alive. And she has a dream to be queen of the ocean, mad emotion showing her devotion, on her surfboard fully in motion, hoping for a miracle when the eyes first open. She wakes up and takes up a surfboard, heads out from the seashore, from the world where she lives. She's got no fears or worries at all right there, just the smell of salt water that's in the air, and the sunrise. She's walking on water. She's walking on water. Face up, toes in the sand, surfer girl gave up, trying to understand. My soul get to living on this happy die. She's tired of goodbyes cause they make her cry. Looking in the sky, blue as her eyes, watching the rising of the sun. Well, how time flies when you're outside and you're in love and you're having fun. Remember the early days when she was laying down on the sand with the fam, and she had a plan, fam, to wake up after daylight. Watch your eyes like the sun on the run from the night. Feels so alive when she wakes up and takes up a surfboard, heads out from the seashore, from the world where she lives. She's got no fears or worries at all right there, just the smell of salt water that's in the air, and the sunrise. From the world where she lives. From the world where she lives. From the world where she lives.
All right, hey everybody, Wes Seiler here for Preserve Navarre Live, joined by Andy DeMartin from Andy D's. Looks like we got about half dozen people logged in so far, more coming. Let me know if you can hear us, because we're going to get into a whole lot of fun stuff on this show. Start talking about his restaurant, start talking about local news. So give me a heads up in the comments, because we can see everything that y'all post live. And then any of those questions you got for Andy, let me know, and we will start putting those up on screen. So I'm excited,
Wes,
man. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for hosting us and let me come out. This is a lot of fun because now we're mobile, right? We had a little studio over there across the street.
Yeah.
It's fun to set up in your shop
on
and everything.
locations. I used to run a little podcast myself. I used to go around and from restaurant to restaurant. I did it at a golf course, a couple of other places when they were running. So it was Jackie's Emerald Coast because as a kid, my uncle's name was Andrew John. I'm Andrew John, so they called me Jackie as a nickname. So even until 7th grade, I was Jackie.
Okay.
Right. So I used that. I went through a throwback, and I used to interview all people, restaurateurs, about how hard the restaurant business is.
Right.
And so if you know anything about my career,
Yeah.
the restaurant business is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Man, it is. Looks like our sound is good, so we're
Good.
off and rolling. So I waited. That's what I did. Is I waited tables when I was a kid. That was like my. I worked in landscaping, did that, but then at night I'd wait tables, and I know exactly what you mean. You're up late. You're cleaning up after everybody's gone. You're constantly on the go, but at the same time, man, I loved it. I loved like serving people, making them happy.
Yeah.
Getting them what they wanted.
Look, it's my whole family has been this way. That my mother was in the restaurant business. My mother and my stepfather ran a nightclub. I've been in the bar business, though as a fireman. Even as a fireman, my side job was always running bars, helping somebody run a bar, own part owner a bar.
Yeah.
So I've always enjoyed the hospitality business.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, just like any service industry, just like being a police officer, you've got to love it to stay in it.
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you can't. And so I have really surrounded myself this time with people who I have worked with in the past, who have been excellent, and I consider them professionals. They're committed to the business. They're committed to the service industry. They're committed to hospitality. And I really am very fortunate to have the staff and the people around me that are doing this.
So I want to give everybody just kind of the scene of what I walked into tonight, because if you haven't been to Andy's in a while, back before it was a different name and all that, you need to see what is happening at this place. And it's probably going to be loud, so let me know if you can't hear us, because this place is absolutely hopping. So I took some pictures. First thing you roll up, Andy D's is a restaurant. If you haven't been to it, you just go across the bridge. You're coming from 98. You get on like you're going to Gulf Boulevard. He's right there. You can't miss it. You'll see the iconic surfboard. We're going to talk about that in a little while. But that's the restaurant. And then the parking lot is absolutely full, man. And like I was sitting there thinking, wait a minute. It's a school night. It's Thursday night in the off season.
It is really
fun. And this place is hopping, man. I couldn't find a place to park. Like
again,
you're gonna have to expand that.
Blessed by the staff, but even blessed more with the embracement of the locals.
Yeah.
And people coming out. The snowbirds teamed up. I mean, the eclectic customer base that we now endured has been just fantastic for us for the winter.
Yeah.
It really has.
So you roll up, the parking lot's full. You're fighting for a spot. I don't know how many restaurants can say that right now. And then I love this, man. Like, this is the sign that you got up. It says, "Welcome to our crazy, sometimes loud, always tasty establishment." Who came up with that?
I did.
Okay, that was you. So
it took me a while. I mean, my wife. Look, my wife is my sounding board.
Yeah.
I've bounced a million things off her, and I said this out in the car. We were driving. I said that out in the car. And she goes, "Oh my God, that's it."
That's Navarre. Man, that's Navarre.
It.
Like,
that's it.
So we were talking about, the sign right there on 98 in the bridge, right, that everybody is always arguing over. It used to say Florida's best kept secret. Now it says Florida's most relaxing place.
Yeah.
And people are frustrated because they're like, that doesn't describe us. Like, you've already, described Navarre better than almost anyone I've heard.
Yeah.
Sometimes crazy, sometimes loud, always tasty, always fun.
That's correct. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. That's Navarre. That's Navarre.
That's Navarre.
And you know what's funny? I usually don't I don't rush to name anything. I don't rush to do anything, because I want to see what fits it.
Yeah.
And so as I was coming in and as I was meeting the customers for Andy D's, not the former restaurant, but Andy D's, I was like, wow, this is just a little crazy, but everything's tasteful and tasty, and this is our establishment. And it just kind of rolled off my tongue, and my wife was like, that's what you need to. That's what you need to put on the front.
I was telling kind of some of my story, and when we came down here, we had a choice between Niceville and Navarre. And Niceville's fine, but it's a little uppity for me. I'm a Memphis boy, I don't come from a whole lot of money.
Too far from the beach.
Yeah,
You're too far from the beach.
I'm a little crazy. I'm a little loud. You've heard that.
Yeah.
And so is Navarre. So, I love the fact that you described this community on the way in. You've also got this, if people haven't seen it. You've got the big shark. Talk to me about this.
Let's talk about the octopus and the shark. So,
hit me.
Tia from Tia Trade Winds, she does all our artwork. We brainstorm together quite often. She has this. I mean, there's a couple of hidden gems in here. The octopus Ruby, that's named after my wife's dog. But the shark...
Jaws 2 reference, right?
It's a Jaws 2 reference, but also it has a gold tooth. And I used to have a gold tooth here. So we put it in there. It's the Andy Shark. It's me, basically. They're right. They call me the Shark. People have nicknamed me the Shark about business and certain things. So I'm living up to the name, but it is definitely a Jaws 2 reference.
I love it.
I wanted a place where people could come, sit underneath the Navarre name, Navarre, Florida name, as you see it there, and take their photos, and they've embraced it. I mean, there are tourists that don't even come here. They'll walk from Juanes to here, and they'll take a picture of the shark, and that's what it's for. I mean, it's for all tourism. It's for all people. Look, Navarre has now become such more of the home for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm here. I'm here more hours here than I am in Pensacola. I've been here more hours, even in the former restaurant. When I started that, this is really where I feel homey. And me and my wife have talked about getting a second place in Navarre because the 45-minute drive sometimes kills it.
Sure, and you're always here, man. That's as you walk in, that's what you get. So here's where we are, just so everybody knows. We're right as you come in on the right side. So that's the fun part of broadcasting live. But you walk into place. This isn't just a photo I took tonight. But this is an average scene at Andy D's any night of the week. In the winter, for crying out loud, man. Holy
I can tell you, the last restaurant was not like that.
It is
it was not like that. It didn't have that environment. And I attribute it to the staff is welcoming, they're warming, and like I told you, they're all professionals. But the warmth between the residents and the staff is really what's made this possible.
And that's so much of what I love about it. is, and why I'm excited to hang out with you, because you're capturing Navarre's culture. There are some people, a lot of military folks who come into the area, bring a whole lot of different cultures with them, but there is a culture to Navarre, and that's what I really fell in love with. I love the beach, love to be able to get to Hurlburt on time and stuff like that. But what really kept me here was this place has an identity of its own, right? And you're capturing that.
And I'm not here to change it. I'm here to embrace it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I'm here to embrace it. And look, it's kind of like I told everybody, when you get into this one-on-one restaurateur customer business, the customer has a voice with me.
Sure.
They're talking to me. Go to a chain restaurant, go to Longhorns and tell them, hey, you know what, you need to change this. You're not even getting an ear. And kind of this is what I feel about incorporation. When you microcosm this down to, you can talk to the mayor. He's sitting next to you at Andy D's, and he's having a drink at the bar, or probably not, but he's having lunch or breakfast at your local donut shop, and you bend his ear, you're getting in a voice. Right? And you're coming to a board meeting, and you're getting a voice. And then if you tried that at a higher level of government, it's just one person. But here, when you get it down to government being truth, but we don't have to talk about that.
Well, let's hit the news up. That's what we're going to get into. Some details about the restaurant, how you do what you do. You're talking about the nuts and bolts of it. I want to hit that, but we always hit the news up, so I want to get your perspective having you here. First, we're going to talk about that storm. I promised we'd talk about the yellow surfboard. So, that came out of nowhere for me, because I'm used to the hurricane season and all that. And, with our church, we have, we stand up during the hurricane season. This was not hurricane season.
No,
we were scrambling to find people for disaster relief.
And I'm a former emergency manager. I ran the 5th largest town in America, up in town in North Hempstead. I was the emergency manager, public safety commissioner. I ran 9 divisions. I can tell you, I've been trained by the federal government for resiliency building and all that. And I can tell you the unique part about this storm to me is that sustained wind out of a different pattern. Where none of your objects, whether it's your deck, your roof, whatever, have been tested in that way before. Right? It's just the wind came out of a different direction for a sustained amount of time at high velocity. And just nothing's been tested that way. Right? We get tested from the south all the time. We get tested from the east. You even get the twirl once in a while, but that direct constant from the west. No. So I lost a couple of boards. We had 2 or 3 windows blow out, and then unfortunately, I lost my twin surfboard. One of the twins is missing. So I have a reward out there. You get
still looking for it.
Yep, we are. You get a dinner and you get a dessert, and I'll even probably throw in a free drink if somebody returns my surfboard. And I know it's going to be mine because it's already got the screw holes in it to mount it on there. And I could go and buy another one. They weren't expensive at all. I can go buy another one. But truthfully, it's the first item I bought to attach to the outside of the building, and I really want it back.
We're gonna get the word out.
It's a little bit sentimental.
Sure. Yeah. Just out of nowhere, it literally blew my front doors open in the middle of the night as they were locked. That's never. Even during Hurricane Sally, that didn't happen.
And even the next day, after the storm was gone, after the rain had dissipated. We had probably 50, 60 mile an hour winds out on that deck. I was trying to secure stuff, and chairs were blowing off the deck while I was doing it. So it was an interesting storm. I hear we're getting a little repeat, but I'm hoping not. When I look at the weather pattern, I think it's going to rise a little bit north, unless we're not going to get in that chute. So, knock wood, our hurricane season was light, to say the least. So I guess we get this.
Right? It's a huge liability taking this on in this location, but at the same time, we appreciate it. And when you're having business like this, that's a good sign.
And listen, I can tell you, we've just made improvements. We make an improvement after improvement to the building, doing stuff that we can, doing stuff that we can't really do all at once. I'm due for a kitchen floor, but I'd have to shut down for a week, right? To put epoxy floor in it. So we're trying to do a little piecemeal at a time, and it shows. I think the customers are realizing that the inside has been entirely remodeled. It's a lighter, better, beachier feel. A lot of artwork. Tia, a couple of our hostesses are local artists. That's their art on the wall. I love taking gorgeous, local artists, and as you saw, we support the art show and the arts and crafts shows. We're going to have another big one in April. That's going to be amazing. The one we had in the spring was amazing. The one we had in the winter was fantastic. And those artists to endure the weather and come out here and give that kind of thing back to the community just before Christmas was heartwarming to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So it's,
and Navarre has your back. I mean, in a minute you say it, and like we're going to have dozens of people here. So
I do really feel that. I really feel like I found a home here in Navarre, and I've embraced, and I like it because it's unique. It's not like anywhere I've ever been before.
Yeah.
There's a unique mentality here. There's a sense of pride that's somewhere in some other areas of neighborhoods and stuff that's lost.
Yeah.
Navarre has pride.
Still has it. Yeah. Like I remember
pride.
during Hurricane Sally. I mean, we were out there for hours, right? Just in days, honestly, working on people's houses and the roofs, especially, and everything else.
It's
and
still a good sense of neighborhood.
Yeah. The community is still very vibrant.
You're going to be able to tell that, and prayerfully we'll have the great weather that we deserve at the Mardi Gras parade.
Yes.
I mean, you can see
Oh,
the
yeah,
Navarre.
okay, wait,
Oh,
that's
the
gonna be
Navarre.
great.
And we're the Mardi Gras Center this year, so we're giving out the awards.
Are
and
you
all
really?
That. Yes,
I
we
did
are.
not know
Yeah,
that.
Yeah. I just started decorating yesterday, so you're starting to see the Mardi Gras stuff come out. But I mean, that's where you really see Navarre pride, and you really see the Navarre wear themselves on their shirts.
What's the dates for that? Because
February 3rd.
Okay, February 3rd. So
Saturday,
that is
February
right around the
3rd.
corner.
Right. The second will probably be packed because they stop parking their RVs and stuff down here for that. So I mean, that's really going to be a great Navarre Pride weekend. We do a lot with we support the basketball team, the football team.
Yes.
I just did the Navarre softball girls. I just sponsored them. And then we cook their breakfast 3 days a week for the basketball team, football team, and I think we have one other on schedule that we kind of support that. So, I mean, we love being entrenched in Navarre. And what's really nice is 90% of my staff are Navarrians.
Yeah.
They're professionals. They've been in this. So the people of Navarre know them because it's their neighbors, right?
Yeah.
And then my management team are real professionals. I mean, everybody we've sustained through the winter has 20 years, 15 years, 10 years in the business. There's no kids here, rookies. There's a couple of newbies that we're kind of bringing along. But, I mean, when you come to Andy D's, I like the fact that your neighbor works here.
Right.
I love that.
Well, and I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to get in trouble, but there are other restaurants who haven't followed that, and the word gets out, right? And the staff talks. They know how they're being treated, and they have no problem going on social media and, like, putting the truth out there, right? And the same thing on the positive end is, like, people know that you treat your staff well because they come out and talk about it, right? And you see that, like, reputation.
I hope that does.
That's why you got a full house, man.
You got to listen. You got to lead by example in this world, right? I've always done that my whole life. It's why I've rose up very fast in the fire department. It's why I rose up to a commissioner of public safety level to probably a job that was over my head, but I could do it because I do try to live my life and lead by example and try to teach my staff the hospitality lesson of the customer is always right, but you always have to avoid him wanting to be wrong, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you, we've had these conversations with restaurateurs. One of my favorite people is a guy named Kevin Kaminsky. He's a big consultant in the restaurant business. And we talk all the time on the way home, and I said, Kevin, I found the two magic things about how to fight the bad reviews on the internet. Just get them before they happen.
Right.
If you go to that table and they've been talked to 3 or 4 times and then they don't talk to you about what was wrong, well, then that's on them. Right? I can clearly say sorry for your bad experience and not have guilt about it.
Right.
Because I've tried everything I could.
Right.
And then the other thing is, the restaurant business being as hard as it is the marriage between good business and art.
Yeah.
Because my people in the back of the kitchen and even my people that are serving, they consider that an art form.
Right.
Right? And then you've got to have a good price. You've got to have a good value. There's got to be a way to make money. You've got to pay your rent. You've got to pay your light bill.
Yeah.
My God, the light bill, right? I got to have a $6,000, $7,000 light bill in the middle of the summer,
Right.
So, I know sometimes the beer is 50 cents more somewhere, or 50 cents less somewhere else. Just understand, we're paying different levels.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not gouging anything. I'm not here to be a millionaire. I'm here to make a living. I'm really here because I love hospitality.
Right.
I do love hospitality.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it.
Right. No, you're bringing all the memories back because I remember being a waiter and you read the table. Oh, they're on a date, right? So, like, I need to give them their space. I don't want to overweight them.
Yep.
Then you got some people who are, they're older or whatever. They've been around. They've heard each other talk for 40 years. They want to talk to you. They're like, tell me about where you've been, and reading the tables and providing the value. And I'm getting ahead of some of the stuff, but I can't help it with what you're saying is you're doing capitalism the right way because you're making money, but you're also creating value. And there's a lot of people who just make money and they're gone, But that art piece,
Yeah.
you're creating value.
Yeah,
for
you gotta
people.
have art to everything.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
creating
you gotta,
culture. I love that, man. So
You got to use your heart and your brain, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
can make money doing anything.
Right.
You know, I can make money doing anything. The chef the other day said, "You sold the specials out that were supposed to last a week." I said, "Because I'm a good salesman." But you know why I'm a good salesman? Because I have passion about what we're
Yeah.
doing. And so if you don't have passion, not passionate about what you're doing, I'm passionate about Andy D's. Me and my wife, and it was my wife who kind of clued it into me. She said, "You know, when you're at your best, when you're in the restaurant."
Yeah.
And she said, "You need to go open that restaurant."
Yeah.
And so I took her advice and I just did it.
I remember doing that with wine. I would always sell out the really good stuff, and then my manager would be like, "They're like, Wes, you got to sell the other stuff too." And I'm like, "I have regulars. Like, I can't lie to them." Like,
Listen, if
they
you're
ask
coming
me
to
what
my
the
place
best is.
and I've talked to your table and you didn't have a piece of cheesecake, I didn't do my job.
There you go. So I need some advice for you because I'm running for the water system.
Yes.
Okay, and that absolutely
This is something I know a little bit about. I was
Yeah.
a water commissioner for 8 years.
So
back
help me
where I
with
lived.
this because the water system interacts with businesses every day.
Right.
Okay, and they got that golf course over there just up the road. What do you want to see from the water system? If you were running, what would you do? What would be your stances?
Well,
Yeah.
look, I mean, I'm going to give you my personal
Please,
experience.
yeah.
I mean, I was a water commissioner in a district that had made some really bad decisions in the past.
Yeah.
They had signed a document with Lockheed Martin who had polluted the wells.
Yep.
And they were going to clean this up over 25 years. And I reopened it, and I got them back on the table. We were talking with Lockheed Martin, and we got over $40 million to clean up the water within 3 years instead of 25.
Wow.
And so when you see huge mistakes like that have been done in the past, it's your job as a new guy to go in and say, I'm going to look at this from a different direction.
Yes.
I want to look at this from a
I
different
love
direction.
that.
Now,
Yeah.
look, I know the tap fees are high, and I know we don't want to put the tap fees on the residents. And will it be, you know, if you, I used to have a mentor in the water district. You say, well, you raise it a nickel, nobody will feel it. But the real honest truth is, we don't want the civilians, we don't want the customer base to be paying for places like mine, commercials. So
Right.
make it payable over a 12-month period of time. You have a tap fee, make it payable over a 12-month period of time. You can always go out and shut
Yeah.
the water off, right?
Right.
I mean, so you have to think of different, unique ideas that will promote business, let businesses still survive, so you're not hitting them all in one shot, and then maybe just come up with some really unique, out-of-the-box thing. I will tell you, the people that I work with and surrounded myself in the water district, in the fire department, in public safety, in the restaurant business, I always look for the guy with the most unique ideas.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's off the wall crazy, but a lot of the times you can shape that idea and say, hey, maybe not this, but if we did it this way, it's not wrong. Because people that look at things from a different perspective, they deserve a voice. Right?
Yes.
And you need to listen to them and say, well, can I tweak that? Can I tweak that
Yeah.
and make it different? So I would, if I was you, when you get elected, keep an open mind, understand not everything that happened in the past was bad.
Yeah.
But there is some bad stuff, I'm sure, because I tell my staff when they're upset, they've made a decision that's bad, whether it's the manager, whether it's the bartender, I go, you're going to get it 80-20. Whether you make a real quick decision, you've thought this decision out for months, you're going to be right 80% of the time, and 20% of the time you're going to be wrong. And you got to realize the guys that were before you were probably 80-20, and there's probably 20% of low-hanging fruit there you could fix quick.
There's a lot there, man. Okay, let me break it down. I want to make sure I get it. The first thing is the way. So, going back to the experience of walking into this place.
Yeah.
It's busy. People are laughing. They're having events. Somebody's singing karaoke. You walk in. The hostess is always there.
That's the face.
By the way, that's the first thing I noticed. Like
That's the
I was like, he's changed this place because the little girl working the front desk, she smiles, she welcomes you, she's attentive, she's right there. I'm like, okay, that's the first thing. And then of course you eat, the waiter's immediately there within a minute or two, you get the specials coming out, the whole thing. The experience is geared toward the customer, going back to all the decorations and everything else. It's for them, it's for Navarre, right? At the water system, a couple years ago, it was not that way at all. Like, you come into a water system meeting, and it's like you're intruding onto somebody else's conversation, right? It's not for you. It's not for the customer, and then you don't get a whole lot of materials. You don't really get a chance to ask many questions, right? They used to shut that down. Not as bad now, but they did a few years ago, and it's like, they don't want you there. They made that very clear.
Yeah, they wanna do
now,
their business.
you go to the water system meeting, and it's a little more open. Not like yours, but it's like they at least stay after the meeting and talk to you. That, like the way Mark runs it, he allows conversations, a little bit of debate. It's moving in that direction. But where I want to go,
the culture's changing. The
culture's changing. But I want to capture some of the magic you have here.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to come to the water system meetings, not to fight, but like come out and be part. This is your system.
Yeah.
It works for you. If you ask a tough question, it's the same as I'm sure you've gotten feedback on this or that menu item could be better. You take it, please let us know how to do it better, and then bring them in to help. Right. Tell me why.
I give you the reason.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason this is different than the last restaurant. The bars were closed outside. The gates were closed outside. The door was closed outside.
Yeah.
The building was poorly lit.
Yeah.
So my thought, especially when we talked about the octopus,
Yeah.
I put somebody that's in charge of hospitality at that octopus. So if the girl's not there, they can get the girl there.
Yeah.
Right. So that invitation to come in is always there. So I open the bar.
Yeah.
I opened the fence.
Yeah.
I put lights on it. I made it brighter. I even try to get flags and advertising and stuff like that around and outside the building.
Yeah.
I've cleaned it up. I've painted it.
Yeah.
I put a wave on it. I put stuff
Yeah.
that brings it, because you want to invite people to something to participate.
Yes. Yes.
And what you should do, and what I think Mark has been doing, and I think
Yeah.
invite people to participate.
Yes.
Not discourage it, but invite them to come in and be part of it.
Yes,
Be
exactly,
part of it.
because they've got answers. Because right now they're looking at a rate increase, and I get it. I know where they're coming from. We got a whole lot of expenses, and we got to pay for it. But maybe if you were inviting in all the different entities from Navarre, and you've got incredible expertise in this area, especially military folks, people with PhDs. You've got accountants, people with CPS. The
Former
whole
water
thing.
commissioners.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, is this the only way that we can pay for this?
I will tell you about
Right?
the water
Maybe
industry.
there's some ideas
The
out
water
there.
industry, too,
Yeah.
is consistently changing with technology, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what I was doing 15 years ago in the water district is probably not passé already,
Right.
you know? And I will tell you the technology and the technology ideas, and some people are not easily embraced by new ideas.
Right.
And sometimes you just got to jump off the cliff and do that. And that even
Yeah.
with here, like when I told everybody on staff, I said, okay, this is the command and control of the building.
Right.
This is the way it's going to be. There's going to be a manager at that octopus that sees the floor, that runs the tables, that looks at the hostess, that communicates with the kitchen. Hey, we're getting overrun. We got to slow down. You know, and so if you go in there thinking, hey, everything I did was bad, just change the culture, right? Change the culture just enough that all the other stuff starts to fall into place. And you'll know if you're doing it right or wrong because you'll get feedback.
Yes.
I get feedback all the time.
I'm
I get
sure you
feedback.
do.
You know,
Yeah.
I get feedback and I listen to everybody. Not everybody gets what they want. You know, I'm not going back to shrimp and grits is not coming on the menu, right? I might run it as a special. I understand your want, but you know, we're doing different things. But you got to change the culture, and again, you got to get back to inviting the people that their opinion matters.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody that comes in my place, I want them to feel like, hey, we may not do what you ask us to do, but your opinion mattered. We heard it.
100%.
We heard it.
Yeah, I love that. And that's exactly what I want to do. Because people think that, like, oh, if Wes gets on the board, well, he's going to fire everybody, rah, right? It's like, no.
But you can't.
No.
Right? You can't. I mean,
No,
you
like-
need all the other commissioners
And even if I
behind
could,
that.
I
Right,
wouldn't.
Right.
What I want, because there's good people that work there, and they work hard, and I've met them, and I've seen them at work. There's good people that work. There's good people on the board right now. But what I want to do is let's put that culture change.
I think I told you this when
Little faster.
when you came in on the with the incorporation thing.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's ever raised a revolution except for Castro who's ever run anything afterwards. Right? You're much better by changing by attrition than you are by revolution.
Yeah.
And if you stand by those words, attrition is a much better way. Get people on your side. Come up with bright ideas.
Yeah.
Listen to
I
their
love that.
opinions, inclusive of that. Attrition is always going to win over revolution every time.
One of the big things that I'm thinking with the water system, because I was talking to the golf club today, a lot of the people that are there playing 3 times a week, and what we talked about is the Chamber of Commerce, right? Let's make that link a little stronger between the water system and the chamber. Let's start having some more events there. Let's start doing what you do, inviting the community out, because they have that beautiful Hidden Creek Golf Club, and it's used a little bit. But I remember days when it was hopping as well, right? And there's 43,000 people
I did a
here.
podcast there when Andrew and Cara down the block had
You used to have the whiskey and the cigar club.
He was doing all kinds of different things.
Yeah,
I mean, listen,
yeah.
I'm going to tell you, Navarre will. If you invite Navarre will come to play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Exactly.
So this building's not mine.
Yeah.
I never think it's part of Navarre.
Yeah.
And so I always feel like I'm just the host.
Yeah.
Right. I'm hosting people in Navarre.
Sure.
And if you kind of treat every facility like that, every branch of government like that, water district, the golf course, this is part of Navarre. I want to invite you to see how beautiful it is.
Right.
I want to invite you to have a good time here.
Oh,
And then I'll put all the things in place for it to happen. When you come, I want you to feel like you had a good
So
time.
tell me more about you, man, because I got this picture right there. Tell me about
That's my beautiful wife, by the way.
Yeah. Tell me about your family, your history.
So I was
mentioned it
I was
before,
married
but-
for 28 years. My first wife. We have 3 kids together. They all live either in New York or Rhode Island or Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And then my second wife, I ran for politics, which was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you're doing it. And so the first wife didn't want to be
skin.
married to a politician.
Yeah.
And so we divorced, and that beautiful lady, Lacey, said, I've moved to Navarre. I've moved to Pensacola, Florida. Why don't you come down and marry me?
Yeah.
So I got on a plane April Fool's Day 2015, and I never went back to New York.
I love it.
And everything moved from that forward. I worked for a short time as a consultant, and then I got into the other restaurant business.
Yeah.
They had a bigger frozen food business. I started the restaurant here. We got the lease signed here. We had that other restaurant running, but we could never make it gain any traction, move
Yeah.
forward. We were always kind of, just staying in the same spot year after year
Yeah.
after year. And then eventually we kind of decided, hey, I'm going to do the restaurant. You guys are going to do frozen food, and we've gone our own way.
Yeah.
It's worked out for me very well.
Well, how excited is she to see all the
And I
success
told
you're
you, I
having?
mean, 95% of it is her encouragement to say, this is what you were born to do.
Dude,
And she is right. I mean, I'm never happier when
love
I'm
it.
here talking to customers. And, people should listen to their wives more.
and
Truthfully,
yeah,
think so.
oh, you're hitting my heart right now because I had that conversation with my wife. Like, I was calling her about an hour ago, and I was like, I just left the golf club, had a great meeting. I listened, I got my suit and
Instead of
everything.
talk, you listen.
Instead of talk, I listened for an hour. I was
Yeah.
like, I have my suit and everything. I'm taking it serious, but I didn't preach at a man. I listened. And they gave me so much information on what the water system should do. And I was like, and then I'm going to go hang out with Andy for an hour. We got space in front of you. She's like, you're doing what you're born to do, aren't you, Wes? And I'm like, I am. She's like,
it.
I love it.
That's it. I
Dude,
mean,
having that is everything.
I will tell you,
love that.
the first time around, I was doing stuff because it was a responsibility to raise 3 kids and work where you had to work
Yeah.
and do what you had to do. And listen, I love being a fireman. It was one of the most fulfilling things in the world.
Yeah.
And I love my job at public safety, but I think all of them together, this is better for me.
Yes.
This suits me better. But what I can tell you is politics, running a town of 250,000 people of their public safety, and being a fireman, if you put all those jobs together,
Yeah.
This one's harder.
Yeah.
This one's harder, and maybe that's why it's more fulfilling.
Yeah,
So I don't
if you're
think
doing it right, it is.
And I don't think anything that's easy is fulfilling.
Right.
Right. And so I like working hard. I've always liked working hard.
Yeah.
I find this comes so easy. It's just
Yeah.
natural. The puzzle pieces fit for me.
Yeah, I had that conversation with my commander at work, at my full-time job, because we had like a survey, and the survey was asking you, are you able to balance work and home life easily? And I was like, no. And if I ever say yes, then I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because I want to be challenged.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, why do you do the Preserve Navarre stuff and take the crap and people making fun of you? And it's like, because I know in my heart the reasons I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I see some value for the community. It's worth it.
I think it's a noble cause. I think
Yeah, it's worth it.
there's a lot of value there in what you're doing, and I hope that people wake up to, it's not just a tax and grow government thing. It's what I told you.
Yeah.
If you want to come into Andy D's and talk to Andy D, I'm here.
Yeah.
Right? And if you want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings and talk to the guy that's going to make changes at Buffalo Wild Wings, you ain't going to find him.
Yeah, and that's me,
And he doesn't
man.
have to
It's
listen.
like,
He doesn't have to listen.
I told some guy today, he was arguing with me. I was like, do you want to meet for coffee? I will buy you a
Yeah,
cup of coffee.
yeah.
We can sit down and you can tell me all the things I'm doing wrong and I'll try to fix it,
Well, listen, we got great things coming down the pipe.
Yeah, let's talk about...
We got the Mardi Gras parade, which is going to happen. We're going to put on a couple more concerts, another art festival. It's going to happen in April. We have internally, we are building out for pizza, and we want to do pizza delivery. We also want to get rid of DoorDash and do direct delivery, because we find that when you're here in the summer, DoorDash will not come over the bridge, so we want to make sure we're servicing the beach properly and the beach customers properly. So we're going to do some changes. We're waiting for the economics for our building to be right. I don't want to overstep. I don't want to go into a place where I can't make it happen. So I'm pacing myself. I work on 10 different tracks. I've always done that, right? When I had ran 7 or 8 organizations back north, I always, just push this track down the can, push this can down the track, push this can down the track.
Yeah.
So we're working on several different avenues of servicing the Navarre Beach customers in a better way.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows me, I'm Italian, full-blooded. So pizza's got to be part of my
It's gonna
passion.
be here.
It's going to be here.
Well, talk to me about, you're talking about food.
Yeah.
My favorite topic.
Yeah.
So
that's
this whole
a
thing is
beautiful
building
day.
up to food.
So
tell me what
my
you're
wife's
serving.
cousin, wife's cousin had gone to, I wish I could take credit for everything, but I mean, no original ideas here, right? My wife's cousin went to North Carolina. She said they have this mimosa tray, and they come out with 3 berries, 3 nectars, and a bottle of champagne, and then every bottle after that is only $10. And then if you look at the sandwich in the foreground there, that's a triple-decker BLT, which BLT is one of my favorite sandwiches, right?
Yeah.
And then you can top that with an egg, so it drips down through it and makes it. I mean, it's one of our probably biggest sellers at breakfast right through lunch.
I mean, that is my entire day right there. That's all
Yeah.
the meals that I need, like one
look,
day. That's a good Saturday right there.
I'm also, like I told you, go look at different ideas.
Yeah.
There's a culture there in the restaurant businesses. Just make it smaller.
Yeah.
Charge the same thing, make it smaller, don't raise the price. What I'm doing is, let's make it bigger.
Yeah.
But let's make it value.
Sure.
Right? People want value for the money. People want
Yeah.
value if they pay their taxes. People want value if
Yeah.
they're paying for their food.
Yep.
People want value. So if you come here and you got the special, which I sold out, it was supposed to last us 4 days. I sold it out in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You get the beef stew special. You're getting a pot of beef stew.
Yeah.
You're eating half of that, and the other half's your lunch the next
Yep.
day. That's what I want. That
I love
most
that.
of that triple decker BLT goes home. Half of that sandwich goes home. With
Yes. Well, and that's how I eat out, right? It's like I'm not eating out every day, only maybe once a week. And when I do, I want it to be good, something that I can't cook at home, right? And like this right here, the presentation on that would take me hours and hours, and it still wouldn't be that good.
and look, I always keep in mind, because Navarre has spoken, always keep in mind, what are you doing for the locals? So we're always doing a discount for military. We're always doing a discount for locals.
I got that.
That's 24/7, 7 days a week. But what we also do is we change the menu, because we have the time to prepare a beef stew, a rigatoni ragu. All these specials that we're putting out now, we have the time to do that. You'll see in the summer, our menu will be streamlined, quick, easy to get out, because we are dealing with 600-700 customers a day,
Sure.
right? So we got to be able to get it out. We got to be able to give that service. And so, but we don't have to change the menu. But I said, you know what, Navarre, let's raise the bar a little bit.
Yep.
And we have a chef now that can do that. He makes incredible food.
Yeah.
And so we're changing the bar a little bit. We're raising it up a little bit. We're not going overpriced. We're not going overzealous. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be a
Fine dining, whatever,
Smith and
like
Wensky.
luxury, yeah.
I'm not trying to be, I'm trying to be the people's food, right?
Yeah.
Navarre's a medium income family. We're shooting for a medium income
Boom,
food.
there it is. That's where I'm at, and I love it, man. And now you can also order online. Yeah,
Yes.
tell me
Online
about that.
pickup right now. Eventually, I think probably starting, I hate to give timetables, but starting soon, we're going to have 3 spots here. You can pick it up or walk it out, curbside service. And we'll also have online delivery.
I love
we'll have
that.
a delivery car. You can get DoorDash now. DoorDash works for us
Great.
now. But we really want to do our own online.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the reason why. It's because if I'm a perfectionist at anything, it's probably trying to give the best service I can.
Sure.
And if I've forgotten your mayonnaise, I want to be able to run the kid back to you and give
Yes.
you the mayonnaise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want you to have a bad meal.
Right. Well, the thing why this matters so much for families, especially, because I'll tell you, like my day, I'm coming out of Hurlburt, I'm sitting in traffic for typically like an hour. You know how that goes.
Yep.
And then I'm trying to get home. If I come out to the restaurant with both my kids, which you've met them,
Yeah.
they're going to be running around and crazy. I'm going to be exhausted. However, if I order this stuff, by the time I get home, it's 5-10 minutes after me. Boom, dinner's on the table. I don't have to cook.
And
Good to go.
what we're
Like,
really
great
trying to
for families.
perfect, is we don't make any mistakes when we're giving you that
Yeah.
food, right? It's kind of the hardest thing in the restaurant business. I'll tell you a quick story. We
Yeah,
have a
go ahead.
sandwich on our menu named the Tony.
Yeah.
Well, Tony comes here quite often. I
Yeah.
mean, more than any normal human being
Yeah.
to come eat the group or club sandwich, right? So I named the sandwich after him.
Sure.
So I happened to be at the desk the other day. We talked
Yeah.
about the girl. She was greeting customers. I picked the phone up at the desk. It's like, I just want to tell you, I got an order for DoorDash, and my bacon's missing off my sandwich. I go, what'd you get? She goes, I got 2 of the Tony sandwiches. I go, who is this? He goes, it's Tony. I go, that's how hard this is,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
can't even get the
yeah.
sandwich right for the guy I named
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Because, most of the time it's 80-20.
Sure.
Right? 80-20. We get by with that 20. We we're striving for perfectionism, but food is definitely
So
not
what'd you do
perfect.
for him?
The next time he came in, I gave him a free one.
Boom, there it is.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, right. I mean, that's what you got to do.
That was the restaurants that I enjoyed working at the most, is where you had a manager who said, okay, whoever made a mistake, hey, we're going to fix it for the future, right? Right, cool. And then cover down, right?
And
that's a team.
And by the way, what I did learn about this business first time around is you hire professionals that have done it. It's muscle memory routine. They don't miss. Yeah. Right? And so then I have less of those to cover.
Yeah.
I have less of those to cover. And like I can tell you, the staff here, every one of them, I would put a professional label. Yeah. There's years and years of experience. They know what they're doing. Yeah. Each one, eclectically, each one has its own gift. Yeah. I have one girl that can do 70 tables at one time. I have one girl that can only do 3 tables at one time. But just the smile alone will kill you. Right? So, I mean, eclectically, our group is excellent, but all consummate professionals in their business.
But it's that teamwork, man. It's like, because I've been that waiter who made a slight mistake or whatever, brought out an entree and I forgot one thing. And then having the chef, like, I got you. Boom, it's done. It's out in a minute. Hey, I'm sorry about that. Here's your sauce. Here's whatever you wanted. You cover down. And then all of a sudden it's like, me and that chef are like bros for life. I'm like, thank you, save my tip.
everything in this business is a team effort.
Now we're a team.
I can tell you, there's not one of these people here I don't value wholeheartedly that they're part of the team, they're instrumental to the team. I like promoting from within because people show me what they're made out of, and they go the extra mile. They do, and I hope I go the extra mile for them. I really do hope I'm a good restaurateur in that way.
Yeah. And you got breakfast, right? Like, it's a big part of it.
Well, that was a beautiful story, too. So the lady who I started Broussard's with, Samantha, she was working in another restaurant. And I said, I'm not starting breakfast unless you do it. She'd done it all her life. She started at Village Inn. Yeah. And I said, but when I tell you you're going to do breakfast, it's all you. I'm going to put the money up, you build it. And she's built a superior breakfast business.
It is great. Yeah,
it's a superior breakfast. Yeah. The menu's her ideas, the thoughts are her ideas, the staff is her hires. I come in, I manage it a little bit, I manage the money for her, but I mean, really, it's a really good partnership. She's like a sister to me. I mean, she just really has taken on breakfast and grown my business where, the economics make it able for us to do stuff like pizza. Right? Because she's paying my light bill in the first hour. You know what I mean? So...
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I think I captured most of it here. You talked about the team.
So let's talk about these two.
Talk to me.
JR. Everybody knows JR. He's been around, his face around. So he's one of those guys, I can tell you right now, he's your neighbor. Yeah. Right? Hey, I live next door to that guy. The girl with the hat on, I literally scalped her from Carrabba's. Okay. So tonight, as we speak at 7:30, she is in the top 3 of bar bosses in the United States of America. So we're past 7:30, so the voting's over, but she may end up being the #1 bar boss bartender in the country, $10,000.
That's amazing.
So we try to vote her up as much as possible. She's awesome. She can do anything. She's a dynamo.
That's incredible.
She's a dynamo. They're both, and JR's like one of our best bartenders. He's a great trainer. He's got a lot of corporate experience, knows how to pour a drink, knows how to do good. But those two are great. And when I tell you, the staff is just so selected. We've weeded out anybody that really doesn't understand that hospitality comes first. Yeah. Both of those two, stellar.
That's amazing, man. Well, the whole thing, it just speaks to everything we've talked about. Like, you're living it. The last show that I did with my friend Chuck, we talked about redevelopment because Navarre is so built out, right? There's so many people, we're all kind of living this, and we see issues like we want more sidewalks, we want more of that culture, right? Like, you can see this is an aquarium that they redesigned. You've done that with this place, and that's why I'm so excited to have talked about this tonight. And
so when I think about that, I think about it as a planning commissioner, right? Like I worked very closely with my planning commissioner, my DPW commissioner, when I was doing public safety stuff. So when I plan something, I say, okay, do I have the expertise to really do this? The artwork, hey, am I painting this wall the right color? Am I using the right paint? I might not be the expert on that, but I go and I listen to people and I say, okay, what's your ideas? How do you do it? Some of it's my passion. Most of it's their expertise, and we blend that together. Yeah. And Navarre needs that too. Navarre needs a blend of experts and professionals. Like you said, there's plenty here in the military that have settled here that have these. But you also want to have that aesthetic beauty to art and keep it aesthetically beautiful and not spoil the nature that's here and the beauty that's here. There's going to be traffic. There's going to be more traffic. I spoke to you years ago, and I told you, if Navarrians think that people aren't coming here because it's the best kept secret,
Secret's
the
out.
horses left the barn months,
secret's out.
years, days ago. I
Right.
mean, the secret's out. There are people moving here in droves. I mean, you can see by the building permits in Santa Rosa. Controlling that would be very important, right?
Yeah.
So, and making sure the infrastructure's there to support it. There's a lot of places that get beyond the infrastructure,
Right.
and so bridges, boating, all that stuff is going to come into play, and the people that are moving here are going to be economically sound. I mean, we see, and I will tell you personally, because I talk to almost every table when I get a chance to. It's Wisconsin, it's Michigan, it's Ohio, it's Tennessee. They're all coming down here to what I will call the South Coast,
Sure.
or the last coast.
Yep.
That's affordable.
Yep.
And they want to settle here, and they want to take their pension money and sell their big houses up there in the city and get dollar value for here, because we have a great economy.
Yeah.
Where we are, we're still very much Americana.
Right.
So they want that. They're striving for that.
You're right.
And I'm kind of like the last. I consider myself more of a baby boomer.
Right.
I was raised by the silent generation. My father fought World War II. He actually left here, went straight from here to Normandy. Only
Really?
9 survivors on his ship. His picture's on the wall. That's why we have the military dedication.
No
and his
kidding.
picture's on the wall.
You have to see that. Right?
Yeah. And so, he always said, you gotta strive for what the American dream is, and it's still right here.
Yeah.
And so people who have been baby boomers have promised to retire, work hard, and retire by the beach.
Yeah.
And so that's why you've got them coming here. They're not going to go anywhere else. They're coming here.
But it's an immigration problem. That's how I
yeah.
look at it,
It
right?
is an
I know it's a
immigration-
little
it
different,
is an
but
immigration problem.
you think about, because me being a conservative, right? Safe, legal, responsible immigration, that involves a process by which people understand America's values. They go through a process, they apply for their visa, and then they apply for their citizenship if
Absolutely.
they've been here. It's the same thing with Navarre to an extent, is sure, bring the tourist, but I want them to understand where you're at. Like when I moved here, I went through several years of just trying to understand Navarre's culture. I
Absolutely.
think Bart's on the show. He was one of the people who taught me, here's
Absolutely.
the history of Navarre.
If you move here and think that you're going to change the culture of Navarre instead of accept the culture of Navarre,
Right.
You're moving out quick.
Right.
And people have left.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I've met customers that it wasn't for us. We're going home.
Yeah.
This is what- like I told you in the beginning, I love the Navarre culture. It's got everything I had growing up as a kid. It's home to me. But I'm not trying to change this culture. I'm trying to embrace this culture.
Yes.
And listen, if we can raise it up while we're doing that, we all grow together.
Right. And it's the same idea of, we want to be able to preserve that culture. The more that tourists come in, the more that we need to teach them and make sure that they're aware, okay, now you understand you're in Navarre, here's our values, here's who we are, let's hold on to it. What we don't want is everything to be gentrified, meaning people come in, culture leaves.
That's right.
You don't want to see it diluted,
No.
right? Because then you just become any other
Absolutely.
type town
Absolutely.
where, there's nothing particularly special about it.
I was reading online, I don't read a lot of the...
Be careful.
Yeah, I don't read a lot of the things that are pointed at us negatively. I literally let somebody else handle that, right?
That's me.
But I can tell you, I don't answer back. But I will wonder, and it'll probably take me years to figure it out, when are you no longer a visitor, you're a local? I want to know what the number is, right? I want to know the number. Because I feel like a local,
Right.
and I feel like I have local responsibility and all the things that come with it.
Yeah.
The planning that, look, I'm willing to put, I'm probably the third highest taxpayer on the beach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we did 3.2 million last year.
Yeah.
So I know I probably paid somewhere, 7-10% of that is taxes.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that goes to the culture of Navarre, not changing the culture of Navarre. I'm
You're
not trying to build
local
a-
once you've been punched in the mouth, either literally or figuratively, right?
by a bunch of locals.
Right, and you've
gotta
taken
get
it,
jumped.
and you're still standing.
You gotta get jumped.
That's how I feel. I look on there and I'm like, I can take this. Like, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when you get that when somebody comes and pins the local pin on you, but I consider myself at least locally embraced.
Yeah.
I'll consider myself that for now. I'll take it.
Well, the locals love you, so that's
Oh,
clear.
thank you.
Let me take a look at these comments real quick, and then we'll call it a day. But this has been great. You got a whole lot of support on here. Ashley Davis says that's amazing. Nancy says thanks for loving the locals. Let's see here. Ashley says you show gratitude when most businesses could care less. You're wonderful. And yeah, it's that piece of it is you get the good comments, you get the negative comments, but it's it's responding to the criticism as best you can, and then treasuring those people that really get it. Jen says, thank you for supporting the locals and all the good causes. I'm going to go to the next scene here so people can actually see this. She says, thank you for supporting the locals and all the good causes that come through. And that's a big one. I want to stay here for just a second because you were the guy who, you've talked about the Art Fest that you're hosting, the Mardi Gras Parade, the Pirates Plunge. That was awesome because that was like a last second deal that he did to support that
It was
charity.
really funny. They had
Jersey?
come to me. Yeah, they had come to me, and I said, look, I'm going to help you out any way I can. My problem was I had just let out my handbook, and that was one of our holidays.
Yeah.
Was New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
So I said, look, get the right insurance. I will loan the billing out to you. The coffee shop's going to be open, so they're going to be on. I'll get you the bartenders. I'll get you what you need. You can open up the deck for me, but I'm not going to bring my staff in after I told them, they have New Year's Day off, right? They have New Year's Day off. Now you want to come in and do this. I told them next year we'll sponsor it. I'll talk to my team. I'll get volunteers with it. But it was too short notice for me to kind of go through that whole rigmarole. But I had no problem lending any of those organizations the building when I can.
Yeah,
I can afford to do it.
Like the whole deck and everything.
Right.
Allison Matthews was back there like pouring drinks.
Yeah.
She was like,
I mean, I
could afford to do it,
but
I had a great time.
I could afford to do it. It didn't cost me anything. I knew they were in a jam. And look, quite a few people have come to me. We're right outside this door here is a lady that was here 2 or 3 days ago, and she said, I'm in a jam. I have a military retirement, and I need a room. Yeah. And I say, usually you have a fee. I'm going to waive the fee. You come in here. They're right outside the door right now having the party. Yeah. And I said, it's military people. They're part of this community. They've been based it. So just, give them the room. I mean, I knew we were going to have music bingo tonight, which we saw. It was full. But I knew I could spare this room. So why not make this building utilized to the people of Navarre?
Yeah, because it comes back. You give that 10% discount that you've talked about, right? You're giving that to different folks. But then the word gets out, hey, this is a guy who really cares. And it's not just a token thing. He actually cares, and he's lived it. Now, all of a sudden, you got more people talking, hey, come on out, right? Now you get people doing a whole party here.
It's funny, as you're talking, customers see me in here, and they're waving to me goodbye. They don't know what the hell we're doing. Right?
We're having fun. And then Bart's on here. He said he had a great meeting with you and your wife today.
I did.
Yeah,
I had a great
I love
meeting
that guy. Bart and I are struggling because we're Alabama fans, so it's a tough day. So thanks for bringing.
I
some
understand.
joy.
I listen. Whether you're an Alabama fan or not, Saban. I mean,
talk about another great manager, right?
How can you take away anything from him? I mean, he's done everything there is to do.
Right.
Right. When you talk about conquering your passion, he's conquered his passion.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And Tom says he loves the show. So, hey, thank you everybody who logged online and brought their comments and questions. And thank you, Andy, for taking the time. Man, I love this place. Love what you're doing.
Come in more often. We'll see each other more often. There's party on the deck every day.
Yeah.
Once the deck opens back up, we get a little warmer weather. We'll have bands every weekend.
Can't wait.
We have music every day, whether it's bands or single guys playing.
Yeah.
And we have bingo on Mondays, and we have bingo on Thursdays, music bingo on Thursdays, which we're going to switch to Tuesdays when it gets warmer outside.
Got it.
And we have karaoke on Monday.
There you go.
And then you'll have music all the time. There'll be some kind of entertainment here. So come up on the deck.
Yeah,
have
come
a beer.
on back. Get to know this guy. Obviously, a great mentor for me. Someone you want to get to know if you're in Navarre. And that you want to tell your friends
with your
about.
election.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Anything I can do to support it.
I appreciate it. Hey, y'all have a great night. We'll see you next week for our next show.